Hail to the king, baby.
Howdy, guys. It's It's Michael B, and it's Monday. So, you know what that means? Another chill and chat with Michael B. I actually am wearing my headphones tonight because I got guests, and that makes me excited because I can listen to my intro music, which I really like. I might be the only person who likes it, but I love it. Anyways, we got a really fun show planned tonight. This is something I wanted to do a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, had to delay it because of some community stuff. It wasn't the right time, but now, my God, it's the right time, and I'm glad I'm waited. I'm glad I waited to do this because we got something really fun to show for it. But anyways, guys, should be a fun night. We're going to be taking a look at those Arcade1Up cabinets that a lot of us got interested in this whole home arcade hobby from. Of course, home arcade existed long before Arcade1Up came on the scene. There were tons of people doing multicades, getting original cabs, all that stuff, but there was a very special market that was created by Arcade1Up where we could buy these cheap replication arcades, put them in our house, and then you could do whatever you wanted with them. Some people modded them, some people did other stuff. A lot of people like me just kept them stocked the way they were. But that's been stagnant for a very long time. It seems like we're not going to get a lot of the titles we were always hoping to get, but there's some hope. If we can't do it or we can't get it from the people we want it from, maybe we can do it ourselves. So I've got two great guests here tonight. First up, I'm going to bring in my buddy Daryl Stokjock, one of my favorite people in the home arcade community. Daryl, we share a very special bond because just like me, you were one of the people, probably even more so than me, that wanted a Robotron 2084 cab more than anything else, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I really did. It's the game that, when I was in my early 20s, I would go to the arcades and literally spend, I was a waiter back then, and I just had pockets full of quarters, and I would just pile them into that game. And to me, it's my all-time favorite game. It's the top one.
Yeah, I got to say, you make me feel pretty inadequate when we go to the arcade together because I'll jump on and then you just absolutely trump my score. Now, we also got one of your friends, stablemates from AA. Here is G.I. Joel. This is a man that was part of the home arcade community and has eventually become much larger part of the home arcade community because he got involved in making accessories and other things like that to improve the experience. So I got a bunch of questions I want to ask you guys. And Joel, we're going to be asking how you really got into this. But first off, I want to ask you guys, how did you get into home arcade? What led you to go out and buy these cabinets and get interested in, creating a home arcade in your home or, doing more like Stokjock? I see some boxes behind you. You're getting ready for a mod. Like what compelled you to do that stuff? First off, were you always into arcades? Were you always a fan of arcade cabinets?
No, I wasn't. I never even crossed my mind to even think that anything like this was even available other than going out and finding some real cabinet somewhere. But that wasn't even on my radar. And what happened was I ran across some of these things in Walmart one time, and I would buy them. I was a coach of a junior Olympic shooting team, and we had a big fundraiser every year. And I would go get the cabinets, and I would take them out there, and I would buy them, and then we would raffle them off, and people loved them. And I finally got to the point where I was like, wait a minute, why am I raffling these? I love these things. I would undo them, and put them all together and then sit and play them for about a month and then take them out. I'm like, wait, I love these things. I totally forgot what it was all about. And that's what kind of drove me back to start getting back into this and really, I'm having a blast doing it, by the way, a blast. And the funny thing is my wife is like, you're going to put an arcade in the house? What are you doing? Now we have friends coming over tomorrow night, her friends. She says, I can't wait to have my friends see your arcade. So it's just been a great trip. And then, meeting all you guys and then, getting into starting to mod some of these things. Like I said, right down there, that is a T2 mod that I got from Buy Stuff Arcade. I'm going to change out the screen, going to put the new, their guns on there and the control panel. And I got their game box. So yeah, I'm having a blast doing this stuff.
What about you, Joel? Were you always an arcade guy, or was it kind of this, availability of these things that kind of spurred you into the interest?
So I've always, I haven't always been like an arcade guy. I grew up out in the middle of the sticks in the country. We had a mall, but it was like 20 minutes away. Had an arcade, and I'm a young guy on the panel tonight. So I didn't grow up in the arcades. They were kind of on their way out. It wasn't as big, but I remember playing and loving playing arcades when we go to like Pizza Hut and things like that. But I was a big gamer, and the thing that kind of got me in here into this community was I never was an arcade goer, but for some reason I had a passion for arcade machines. And so when I was in high school, I kind of had this dream of building my own arcade cabinet. And so I collected all the things. I was going to stick like an Atari in there with a CRT and build like a cocktail table and stuff. I had all the wood. Never got around to doing it. Got busy, went off to college, things like that. And, life happened. And a few years ago, I started to collect the things to build an arcade because it kept weighing in the back of my mind. Wanted to build an arcade machine. So I had all the stuff kind of lying around. I was busy at work. I was kind of running a side gig, making signs on my CNC machine for people, wooden signs, flags, and things like that. But life was really kind of weighing on me and was having a lot of mental struggles and things, and just a lot of stuff crashing at once. And I finally decided I was going to take a minute and just focus on myself. And I spent the weekend just building an arcade. And that was kind of my turning point. I built this multi-cade.
Yeah.
My boys were there with me, and we were playing it, and we were having a blast. And that was where I started to through that process, started to YouTube a few videos and became familiar with the guys that are doing, still doing a lot of the stuff today. But that was kind of my introduction. And when I started seeing what people were making, that was where I saw Arcade1Up. So I've always kind of lived in the country. So I never discovered Arcade1Up in Walmart or anything. It was like, what is that thing that people are playing with on YouTube? And so then I ordered a couple countercades from Best Buy and had those come and added them to the game room. And I had this multi-cade that could play everything. And I thought I was good, but somehow now I have back-to-back machines that I could play everything that was on that one I built in individual settings as well. So I don't know where it spiraled out of control.
That's what happens. Like I got some super chats I want to get to in a second, and thank you very much, guys. So I'll be there in just 1 minute. But it's kind of the same thing. I remember I had like 12 Arcade1Ups at the time, and we couldn't get the At Games Legends Ultimate here in Canada. Just wasn't available. And then finally it became available. I got one of the first ones to come in, and you're playing it, and you have that moment where you realize you're like, yeah, I can play all these games that I got on those Arcade1Ups on this. Why not just spend all that money? But at the same time, you also realize, because it's the art, it's the experience, it's the nostalgia of having an arcade. And then I ended up, being fortunate enough that I had the space at the time. I managed to separate the rooms. I could put my multi-cade in another room and then have a room that was like a dedicated arcade. And, you know, you get into that kind of stuff. Just really quickly, guys, a couple super chats here. Kevin Clausen, $2. What's your secret? We would like some arcades. Oh, we've got a secret. I'm actually super impressed by this, Joel. I had no idea you were going to do this, but big secret.
Neither did I.
You guys a little bit later. Yeah. We've also got a super chat here from Messiah, $1.99. Have a good show, Michael. Thank you very much. I think we're caught up, guys. I know I didn't get into reading the all the people here in the chat. Apologize. I'll try to get to that a little bit later, but I do want to get going because I know we got a lot to talk about tonight.
You could have Stokjock do that. He's getting real good at it.
He's getting real good at it. I don't like doing it on Super Game Room, dudes, because I feel like that's P-Dub's job. Like anything less would be a letdown. I can do it on my own show. It's fine. I see a lot of the familiar people here in the chat, like our buddy Jason Little Alien, J-Rod, Vic Vicious, Cleveland Gaming Classics here. I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to that. I know you guys are headed and you're pretty excited about it. He's got a big event. Is James Hates Everything going to be joining you guys in Cleveland? Do you know?
I don't know. We haven't. We're not sure if he's paid his fee to us yet to allow him to go, but you know, we might.
Now the question is James going to take one of his wives or all of his wives? Like that'd be something if his whole harem came with him. Novasonic 23, Michael M's here, Chaotic BPR, Brian's here, Giovanni Sean is lurking, Porta Dreams here, Biggie D's Arcade, Dane Bramage, Scott B, Prince Vinny, Meatball Saucy. You guys ever run across Meatball Saucy? He might be one of the funniest humans I ever met in my entire life. He always gets so obliterated when we play mini golf with him. Like he's so drunk, and then he like gets a hole in one. And he's like, it's amazing.
Did movie night with him the other night. It was fun. We did a 3D movie night. That was really cool. Took a little while to get it set up, but it was great.
I heard about that. I'm not going to watch Gravity. I wanted to join, but I'm not going to watch Gravity. I've seen enough Sandra Bullock on Earth. I don't need to see her in space too. That's enough for me. Thor KC's here. Mike Hawkhurts, Rotundo, Filthy Bill. Who else we got here? Jim the Pacers fan. Oh, Bobby 1ALU. JJ is here. Who else do we got? Prince Vinny, I think I already said. The Be Me, Striker Cage, Dr. Torque, Sathius is here. Brooklyn Menace is here. Always good to see you, Brooklyn. Retro Arcade Trooper, Mitchell B, Skull Joe. I don't know if I said that right or not. Calvin Wong. Who else we got? Hockey Town Arcade. Love that name. I'm a big Detroit Red Wings fan too. Mark James, B Kirby's here. Chris Ogaz, and I think that's just about everybody. John Fritz, Gallagher guy coming over from Open Fridge. I know you guys are going to hate this, but that Open Fridge is a good show. You guys watch that much?
Yeah, I watched it today.
Never heard of it.
Never know who the guys are, but it's a decent show.
Yeah, terrible hosts, all terrible people, but for some reason it all works together. It's actually a really good show. They go live before me Monday night, guys. Go check it out. Goofy Foot is here.
If you enjoy watching a train wreck, it's a good one to catch.
Yeah.
Sterling Hall is here. The Real Zim, get in there. Ronald Lawrence, Multicade Matt. It is so good to see you, my very close personal friend Matthew.
Such a good guy, man. God, he's such a good guy.
Totally. Cornercade's here. Who else is here? I think that's everybody. Gamer Fridge, there he is. Horrible person, great show. Go check him out. It's not really a horrible person. Duggar 5150, Stupid Fat Hobbit, Paul Mindeman is here. All right, guys, let's get back to the main event.
You got it flip-flop, Mike. Great person, horrible show.
I like the show. I think Open Fridge has done really well. Gregory's here as well. Always good to see you, Gregory. All right, guys. So the big reason I wanted to have you guys on tonight, this is something we've been talking about for a while. Like me and Stokjock, we've been back and forth with Arcade1Up, hoping that they were eventually going to make certain cabs we wanted to see them make. I know, Stokjock, you're a lot like me. One of the things that really bothered me about Arcade1Up for the last little while is they really moved away from 80s cabs. And we're talking like for the last 4 years, even when Arcade1Up was still Arcade1Up and they're still producing things, there always seemed to be a movement towards like late 90s and trying to push the limits of what they can do. But for some reason, they just completely foregone all the 80s love that we had seen for so many years, where the arcades were truly special back then. Why do you think that was?
Well, I will say that I think it was the biggest mistake that they ever made. And one of the reasons is that, look at, if you want to try and get that newer crowd, the younger crowd in, and I've got a Fast and Furious over here. I mean, I got it just because it's a cool racing cab. It looks cool. But the 80s I grew up in the 80s. Okay. And I think we look at the demographics, I think you're going to be looking at probably what, 40s to 60s, maybe is probably the demographics of everybody doing this stuff, which is the 80s.
Yeah.
And so by them going out and trying to get this, the younger culture to accept these things, that's all good. And that's all good, but that's not where the money is. I mean, I've got money. I mean, I'm not bragging. I mean, I've got money. I want to buy these things, but I'm not going to buy stuff that's something in the 90s, because I didn't play this stuff in the 90s. I just didn't.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty similar. I never got to the arcades till later. I was like 8 or 9 when I started going. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, is what brought me in. So I started going in like the late 80s, and I had a very short, very aggressive love period, but very short period from like 89. Well, it was really Wrestling Superstars that got me started, and TMNT was what really brought me in. But I was there from like the late 80s until probably 95 is when I was kind of like, I'm good here now. Like there wasn't for me much after 95. So when I see them releasing those later titles, I just don't have any nostalgia for it. And even though I wasn't there for the early 80s stuff, like if you go back and like you watch this stuff and you pay attention to it, like all the love, all the really great art, like the really specific arcade stuff was back from the 80s. So there was so much runway to work with, games they could put up, that they just seemed to avoid for some reason.
And it was the heyday. I mean, it was the true heyday of the arcade.
The golden age.
The arcade I used to go to, was probably 20,000 square feet, of nothing but arcade machines, air hockey machine, the pinballs, that was all it was in there, was that kind of stuff. And then until you got to the 90s, then you start getting into, the Dave and Buster-esque type stuff where you got to win tickets all the time in order to keep people to come back in. Well, that's not what that was about back then. It was about these really cool games and what they could do. And then, what was the next thing that was going to come out? I mean, like I've got the Dragon's Lair over here, and I remember Dragon's Lair coming out, and what a gigantic deal it was. I mean, literally the line to play it, there was a queue to get up there to it. And of course they had the TV on the top, the monitor on top, and then you could only play it once and have to go back and get in line. And it was gigantic. That wasn't there in the 90s.
Yeah, I have a ton of nostalgia for Dragon's Lair, not because of when it originally came out, but God bless the people that ran the arcade in our local mall. And I had a similar situation to you, G.I. Joel. I lived in the woods. I lived in a suburb of our capital city, which was still developing. So it was very much the woods. So it would take me about 30 minutes to get to the mall. And I would only go in on Sundays because my dad was like a coin collector, would go into the flea market and look to buy coins. So I get to go to the arcade all Sunday. But the arcade guy had all these new games in there, had all this cool stuff. But like he would keep bringing in like retro cabs, like he just loved them. So there was always a Dragon's Lair in the arcade. Like it looked so out of place because you'd see like Super Street Fighter lined up. You'd see like the Daytonas, and then the dirt. Like I can't remember what it was. There was this really good like dirt bike game, like Kawasaki Ninja game, and you would have all that lined up, and then right next to it would be Dragon's Lair. It would just be there, right?
Yeah. My 28-year-old son, that's his favorite game.
Oh,
so much so that I went and bought him one for his birthday. I mean, he just absolutely he loves that game.
Yeah, and that's one they won't produce again, unfortunately. Nope. I don't see it in a million years. Really quickly, we got a $9.99 super chat here from Drew Lewis. Thank you very much, Drew. New name. Been watching your vids for quite some time, but first time catching it live somehow. Well, thank you very much for doing that. Been meaning to ask forever now, what do you think of the Pixel Bash Chill? Having a cooler and Gap Plus is tempting. I haven't seen the Pixel Bash Chill yet. Have either of you guys seen it?
No.
I'm
not familiar with what the difference is. What is the Chill versus?
Yeah,
I would guess it's the cooler.
The cooler.
Okay. I'm going to look this up really quickly because I'm not familiar with it at all. Now, I've seen the Pixel Bash a bunch of times. Like, I like the idea of the Pixel Bash. I know not everybody does because they just recently released a new Pixel Bash, which was the Class of 81 Pixel Bash.
Mhm.
They came out with recently, and people were kind of shitting on that. Pixel Bash Chill Cabinet, which is a Pixel Bash with a mini fridge in there. So let me pop this up to show you. This is something even Arcade1Up. Do you remember they were toying with the idea of putting a mini fridge in? They were thinking about doing a tapper, which I loved. I don't know if I like the fridge, but yeah. So there's the Pixel Bash Chill. Interesting. This is something I never heard about. $3,195 US.
And it's still got the same that artwork on the bottom.
Yeah, same artwork.
Yeah.
Got a cup holder.
Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you wanted one cabinet officially from Namco, it might be something that's interesting, like one cabinet. That's a lot of money, though, man. A lot of money.
You better come stocked with with something more than soda.
A couple beers in there, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely tough to only keep one and only have one.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
You only need one, but
well, yeah, you only need one, but like here's the thing about that. Like I've always subscribed to the theory of, I don't know what it is. Like I like collecting. I like the idea of having things and stuff like that. Like even going back console wise, like I used to get so much shit because people would come into my video. They'd see like 780 NES games on a shelf, and they were like, "Don't you know you can get a Raspberry Pi?" And I was like, "I didn't know that existed. Obviously, I knew it existed, but I wanted the original thing." But some people are like that. Some people are, you're dumb because you can save so much money just by doing this. And other people are like, you know what? Like, it's about more than just playing the games. It's about the nostalgia. It's about having something that's a visual reminder of your childhood and your youth. Like, it's just so much more, right?
And and that's the sad thing about when people say, "Oh, you can," like you said, "Oh, I can play every one of your games on my one machine." I go, "Okay, well, you got one machine. I've got 10. Okay, I've got 10, and they all look really cool.
That's right.
They look really cool. And like I said, my wife's got 3 of her friends come over tomorrow night, and they can't wait to come in and see, because they're all in their mid-50s.
Yeah,
and they can't wait to come in and see these things. And that's what I'm saying is, I've got a machine back there that I can play everything on. Okay, but I don't want to buy 30 of those things or 10 of those things. I want something that looks unique. So that's what we're looking for.
Drew gives some feedback. The only stupid thing is the joystick is 4-way and some of the games are 8-way. So you'd have to mod that. And yes, the price point is kind of insane. The appeal is gapless and saving space. See, I actually did a stream on this a long time ago. One of the things that I always had a problem with Arcade1Up is I'm probably one of the very odd people that wanted to buy. Excuse me, guys.
Bless you.
I'm one of the very odd people that wanted to buy these mainly for the game that the art was on there. Yeah. So one of the things I always hated was the compromises that they had to make with the control panel in order for them to accommodate the other games. Like you look at the Defender cab, they came out with a Defender. I forget what it was. Like it was just a reskin of Mortal Kombat, but it was, skinned as Defender. But the control panel wasn't Defender, right? Horrible. And it's those kind of accommodations I hate. Like Burger Time had the 4 joysticks in Stokjock. If we ever got our Robotron 2084 that we wanted, it was never going to be skinned Robotron. It was going to be a Smash TV cabinet, and it was going to have a similar control panel to what Burger Time had. There was going to be 4 joysticks across that control panel, which really bothered me. So we were never truly getting what we wanted. Gamer Fridge says the Pixel Bash is 8-way. Still the same thing, 8-way, 4-way. You're still getting screwed. JJ brought this up earlier. This is something that a lot of people are going to say, well, there's always been options, because if you didn't like the games that came out, you could just mod your cabinets. And some people really did this. One is Glenn's cabinet coming out, and Glenn says it's a multi-cave, but you can mod it. But here's the thing. Other than buying the additional hood to do the Nintendo thing, it has a very distinct shape. How do you feel about those cabs, like going all the way back to the shark fin days? And I'll ask this of you too, Joel, where people modded them, just got artwork and put like new controls, but the cabinets didn't have the original shape. What did you guys think of that?
Go ahead, Stokjock.
Well, okay. All right. Well, seeing as I'm just making sure I don't have a shark fin in here. Yeah. And I know I bought them, but back then I didn't really even care what it looked like. Because, like I said before, I was using for raffle items. But if I were able to buy a shark fin right now, I'd buy it and I'd mod it. That's all I would do with it. It wouldn't. To me, that is now we're going towards when I'm buying these things because I like the way they look. The shark fin doesn't really look right. Okay,
that's right.
So I would be using it for something like, I'd probably buy one and mod it to like a Guitar Hero or something like that. So yeah. Now that I'm really diving deep into this thing, I don't think I'd own one except to buy it to mod it, simply because it wouldn't look like what I wanted it, and in my mind what I wanted.
Joel, you going to comment on that, or are you just going to sit back?
No, I mean, it's a struggle for me because I just like cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I like modding stuff. So I'm not a purist by any means. Mm-hmm. I like making things my own. My biggest problem, I think, is sometimes I buy things and I don't even plug them in to test and make sure they work before I start tearing them apart and like trying to make it and customize it into something. So the aesthetic, sometimes, that arcade authenticity isn't always as big of a deal to me. But I can appreciate it and understand why people want it and where they're coming from. So if it's available and an option, I definitely think it's a lot cooler to have, something that looks like the original machine rather than something that's just, a knockoff or something. So, but to me, as a designer and stuff like that, I can kind of appreciate sometimes when you're breaking the mold or doing something a little bit different, and where they came from. It was a starting place, and I can understand, why, where they were coming from. They were trying to make everything kind of as simple as possible and as efficient, and be able, let's just have one shell that we throw whatever games into. But I quickly discovered that this community and these us people, most of the people, they like their unique custom stuff as well. Just like I like my stuff custom. I thought I was only going to make one size riser, and now I have 5 different size risers because people were like, hey, can you make it 2 inches taller? Hey, can you make it 4 inches taller? Can you make it 2 inches shorter? So now you can customize the risers, started changing. I thought nobody's going to care, I'll make one standard one, and it was going to be efficient, and you could go on to anybody's website and buy graphic artwork for it. But once you started getting bigger, then artwork wasn't available. Then I had to start making artwork, and plus OneUp didn't keep things the same, so we had to have multiple sizes and right. different corner radius shapes, and those risers became a nightmare.
All right, so I do want to, I'm going to go back to this now. I was going in a different way, but I'm going to go back here, but looking at the time. So Joel, I want to talk about this. How did you get into making this stuff? Like, the first thing I think I remember seeing from you was like the addition to the countercades to make them stand up. Is that your first like mod product you really made and started selling?
Actually, if technically the very first thing was the risers for the OneUps, the 3/4. And my first paying customer is the guy up above me in the corner.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I've got number 1 right down here on
one of the original. It doesn't look anything like it anymore, and they've come a long way. But What spurred all that was the KI $150 sale debacle. We all jumped on that, and then they sold out of them. Now they're back again for the last couple of years, but they sold out of them for a little while there. So they gave us the high fives, and we could pick stuff. And
yeah, that was something.
We picked some yoga flames, Stokjock and I, but we didn't have risers, and so I wanted to build a riser for mine, and I had this idea of why not make it an inline thing so it looked like it was an extension of the cab rather than just sitting on a wooden box. Stokjock loved it. He was like, "Hey, I'll pay for one." I really didn't think anybody would be willing to pay for the shipping and everything, especially when they could go buy wooden boxes for them at Walmart for $30 at the time or whatever. So
yeah.
But it took off. I think Cornercade Danny, he came across them and had it on his show. He had you and B and P Dubs, I think, on there, and Fox. You guys were all kind of looking at the original pictures of them and scrutinizing it a little bit, and you didn't like the corner round radiuses. And
that's right. Yeah,
we made some changes and made them completely in line, and that was kind of the rest is history from there. I think Cornercade started talking about them like crazy, and people started buying and selling, and rumor spread. And then that was while I was working on that, I had the idea to convert the countercades into like a 3/8 scale cab to make a bottom for them, and make a little coin door. So I worked on that and kind of launched that. That started to take off a little bit too, and it's all been kind of growing from there. But I've never really thought if I was going to make a business out of this that I could completely rely on Arcade1Up and making products just for them. I didn't want to just be a company that modded and made a product for a certain company. So been slowly looking at and working on other options, and but still giving people the ability to mod, kind of listening to the community and what they've been kind of looking for and wanting. So,
and begging for.
That's kind of what I think we're here to talk about a little bit is, what you got to give the people what they want. I heard somebody say that once.
You got to give the people what they want. And, I think one of the things that hits so hard for a lot of the older cabinets is the deluxe cabs came out. And then we had this all-in-one form factor where you weren't getting the separation from the riser. And a lot of people were like, fuck, now we got to rebuy all these cabinets in deluxe form factor. But then your inline riser came out, and it kind of killed the need to do that. So it was so easy to go buy an inline riser instead of turf the cab out to try to get, something new. And I love the fact that you mentioned that people have very specific designs. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like 19K Fox is a little bit of a taller guy. So when he was into the 3/4 scale arcades, do you remember he had a shelf in his basement that he used to put his 3/4 scale arcades on just so they'd be tall enough for him to play? Like, I find there's specific cabs that I wish were a little bit taller. Some of the shooter cabs, like Big Buck Hunter, was horrible, way too short, the original Big Buck Hunter. And also the driving cabs, I find them a bit short. So I love the fact that you're doing driving cabs, and you're getting, I would imagine that's one of the ones you're getting customs in and saying, yeah, maybe make it a little bit taller, because those driving cabs, to me, is such a cool idea. One of the coolest products Arcade1Up ever made. But God damn it, they're short, and like they're just too big to sit on a chair and put your feet down for the stand up, but they're not tall enough to actually stand at and play. So I used to kill my back trying to play these driving cabs.
I did notice that going through kind of my build log and of the requests and stuff, the racers, basically everyone that has ordered a racer has ordered it in the +4 size, which is 4 inches taller than stock. And it's like the max. So everybody wants them taller, those racing cabs especially.
Tell me a little bit more about this Tapper cab right here. Like, Tapper is one of the ones that I wanted Arcade1Up to do. I know that we got
Mhm.
root beer tapper on like the
Yeah.
Konami cab or Williams cab, but I always wanted to see a tapper cab. Like I thought tapper with root beer tapper and timber would be an amazing Arcade1Up, going back to the days where they only had 3 games. So where is this picture from? Is this a real like tapper? How does this work?
So that's a picture of a real tapper,
Yeah.
and I've been slowly modding Mortal Kombat that I picked up to convert it to a tapper, and so I've reskinned it to tapper. I 3D printed, and I have those for sale on the website too. The tap handles for
Oh,
the
nice.
joystick,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so what I am working on, but it's kind of got backburnered a little bit. That's what this was coming soon. Was I was going to make those kind of brass end cap pieces for your cup holder type things to put on the ends of the MK cabinet. So kind of just making it so that you can dress your Mortal Kombat up and convert it into a tapper.
Yeah, Biggie D brings up the fact that Tapper had a fridge. We saw that rumored one, and like Arcade1Up, like I had no confidence they were going to do anything sensible with that.
No.
Like that was an idea to put a fridge in a cab and sell it. That
Mhm.
was literally all it was. But like, I don't know if people know this. Tapper is one of those special games, in my opinion. Like just absolutely beautiful. I would have
Yeah.
loved to seen a proper recreation done. So this is another one that always bothered me they didn't do.
Yeah,
That
especially
was the
with
thing
those
that boggled.
joystick handles, like he said.
Yeah.
You know.
That was the thing that really boggled my mind about just the way that Arcade1Up has gone about. One of the many things that has boggled my mind about why they've done the things that they've done. But I mean, they had the PCBs, they had the games. Why not do a lot of those other titles that were on those PCBs
Yeah.
as the marquee game of the cab, right? So I mean, you've already invested in the development of the board and stuff. Tapper's there. And people would have been relatively happy with the MK
Mhm.
shape, right? Just make a new unique control deck for it and reskin it with the art, and there you go. You're selling tappers rather than Mortal Kombat's.
What I like about it too, I always said this with Arcade1Up, like the multi-K people always complain, like you play all these games on like multi-K, but one of the things I always like that Arcade1Up do is when they do something with special controls, like Star
Mhm.
Wars. Tapper's one of those where you got those
Mhm.
special, like, beer tap or root beer taps. I mean, that would be a unique control you wouldn't get anywhere else. So I just thought it was a slam dunk, but I guess they just didn't see
Yeah.
the appeal or.
Yeah. And if it's sat, and if it's sat at a retail space, okay, the way it looked with those tappers, those tapper joysticks on it, it's just a draw. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
And Tapper just seems like a no-brainer in itself just for the people as far as
there's so many no-brainers missed.
man caves, and basements and stuff that
Yeah.
seems like it would fit into a lot of people's aesthetic decor than, a Mortal Kombat or something like that.
Oh, I would have bought a Tapper 1000%. Like
Mhm.
there's no question about it. Tapper would be in
Absolutely.
my home. I love Tapper. To
Mhm.
play it with the right controls. Like they kind of work pretty good on the like I can play it, but I'm a weird guy. I always feel dirty playing those games that are the secondary games on the cab.
Same
So
here.
like
Same here.
I love Bubbles. I love Tapper, but like if I'm playing them on a Mortal Kombat cab, I'm like, this feels wrong.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. That's
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we know, Robotron is my favorite game. It's your favorite game. I can play it right back there. I can.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to play it on a Robotron cab.
100%.
It says Robotron on it.
Like I gave Arcade1Up shit when they were going to do the Smash TV. I was like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
buy it because, like,
No.
honestly, I can go on my ALU right now and
Mhm.
play a really good game of Robotron with the right
Yep.
controls on my ALU. If I don't have the right artwork, I don't really care.
Same way. Same
Yeah.
way.
It's like they missed the mark. But we're getting off topic again. Joel, I want to go back. So that's kind of what you've been doing. And now you're doing this full time right now, right?
Yeah, so I'm a industrial designer by background, kind of a inventor, tinkerer, ever since I was a kid, building my own toys and stuff. So I've been doing 15 years of designing for other people and other companies, and this stuff's kind of been taken off as a side project hustle that I was doing to kind of keep myself sane. As I mentioned earlier, I just, it blended a bunch of things that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed video games. I enjoyed making and building things, especially out of wood. I enjoy hardware and electronics and, buttons and things like that. So it blended all that. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm not like I've told you, I'm not a purist, and I'm not a huge gamer either. I spend more time building and making these things than I do playing them.
Yeah, everybody likes different things. Like I've always said it. I'm more of a casual gamer. I play to have fun, not to, go out and assert dominance. There's some people that, I don't think they realize, like, they accuse other people of being gatekeepers, but gatekeep by making comments like only excellent gamers and stuff like that. Foolishness, right? Like, it doesn't matter. However you want to play game, however you enjoy gaming, whether it be from collecting, whether it be from playing, whether it be from, mastering, it's all okay because it's a
100%.
hobby. It gets our minds off other stuff, and we can share it and have fun with it, right?
That's been the great thing about is connecting with everybody. Like
Yeah.
customers that I have, like I have so many people that reach out to me just thanking me so much and like I just can't help but think, I'm just making a wooden box, but I'm bringing people so much joy. It's so rewarding. That's kind of what I've been telling my family and my parents and stuff when I've been telling them, is the most, it's not paying as good as some of the other stuff used to, but it's just so rewarding seeing the happiness it's bringing other people. It's great.
So I have similar conversations with my family and my parents, but it goes a little bit different. They're like, "How's YouTube going?" I'm like, "I'm making a lot of people mad. I don't know why, but they're really angry."
And they're like, "Way to go! That's how we raised you."
Yeah. So you talked earlier about, like, right now predominantly your products are based around Arcade1Up. It fills a need and fills a niche, but you want to do more, and there's more out there. You just don't want to be reliant on Arcade1Up. Talk about where you see yourself going and what other kind of stuff you see yourself making.
Right. So, I mean, I'm really liking the idea of scaling up, doing my own thing. The challenge is, I want to try to walk the line and play on the side of right. And so, not getting too involved with licenses, and I'm just a little guy. This is my shop, I got a garage out here, a 3-car garage that I'm working out of out here. And so I don't have the money to get licensing and stuff like that. So trying to weigh out, what the options are, what the people want. Because there's people, that they don't want a multicade, right? You don't want a Raspberry Pi with 10,000 games, but are people okay with a Raspberry Pi that boots to 1 or 2 games, and it's skinned as Robotron? And so that's what I'm starting to hear and learn, from my buddy Stokjock here, is that he doesn't want a Netflix multicade that has 10,000 games on it, skinned as Robotron. He'd be perfectly fine having a Pi that has just Robotron on it.
Yeah.
So that was always the challenge that I saw, was like, I see what New Wave Toys is doing, going out and getting the licensing, and it's authentic and approved and stuff like that. So it was always kind of this balancing act of, what do people want? Do they want something that, comes with this allure of, to be able to say this is authentic, genuine, with a genuine board that was designed and is locked just for this and this artwork, as opposed to this was made in some guy's garage, right? And most of the country doesn't know who that guy is. So that's kind of been a little bit of the challenge, but from what I've seen, it seems like there's a big area, at least where I want to play, is kind of in the deluxe area. There's a lot of companies, I think, that are doing full size. You can get full size cabinets. You can get, you know, the original stuff. I think all of us have these game rooms that and collections that we've accrued over time, and want to kind of keep blending stuff in with that. So kind of looking at, I don't want to be creating risers for my own products, so I don't want to do 3/4 scale. I'm kind of looking at doing deluxe stuff.
Yeah.
And looking at doing not deluxe stuff that you can go out and get on Facebook Marketplace or at a clearance sale at Best Buy, because I can't compete with those prices, you know, to make a shell, even though it sounds easy and, you know, to think, oh, when you think about it, oh, somebody's going to make a shell and offer it, right? It sounds like, oh, that, you know, I could probably buy a shell for $100, $200. Well, I can't build you a shell for $200, you know? So unfortunately, I could build myself a shell for $200, but I can't keep the lights on, feed my family, ship it to you, for $200. So I'm looking at what is out there that is kind of unique shapes that people would really like, want, and appreciate, and that we most likely aren't going to get from other places.
Yeah. So like that's the struggle right now. Like a lot of us probably have rooms full of Arcade1Up cabs. I know Paul wants like XL cabs. I think there's people out there doing lots of XLs. Like, you know, you've got what's it called? Iconic Arcade. They're coming out with their XXL, and it looks like maybe, you know, Basic Fun will probably do XXL. Some people want XXL, but there is a large majority of people that have rooms full of Arcade1Up cabs, 3/4 scale and deluxe, want to build out on that and get some of those dream titles we just never got. And there might be just a little bit of a marketplace for that specialty stuff. So I know Stokjock's been pushing you for a long time. He's been pushing you. He's been like, make a Robotron. And there was a rumor out there that you were willing to do it if 70 people signed up.
Is it 70? Yeah, I like that number, 70.
And Joe likes that number.
That's what Stokjock's been pushing. But you know, instead of just pushing that, Joel, why don't you tell us what you want to do?
So yeah, I have probably about a list of 5 cabinets that I really want to do. Want to do / other people want me to do, and I kind of agree. Where I've netted out is Robotron is probably maybe number 2, because Stokjock's pushed me this far. And if you know, we can make a splash and have some interest, and you know, then we'll definitely Stokjock's going to get a Robotron regardless. There might be only one that's ever made, but whether
I'm gonna drive up there and put it on that machine myself.
But the big announcement, I guess, I mean, do we want to do that now? Do we want to just do kind of an unveil thing?
I'm shocked that you did this. I knew that there was a concept, but
me too.
Really,
I was planning on napping today. That was the plan, but then Stokjock changed all that by booking me on the show tonight. So, what do you talk?
I don't know if people know this.
Right?
I don't know if people know this, but I am an G.I. Joe worldwide industries #1 sales agent. So I've got to keep him on his toes always.
And he's my #1 employee, and he's also my cheapest employee.
Yeah.
But
really quickly
for him, like, he reached out to you maybe like Friday, and like was like he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, Mike B is going to have you on his show on Monday. We're going to talk about Robotron and some of your projects and stuff." And I was like, "All right." So then Saturday, I'm like, I should probably have something to show people.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, so been working on this the last today and yesterday.
Really quickly before you jump there, we got a $4.99 super chat from Vic Vicious. Thank you very much. Joel, can you do the forward panel for OneUp Big Blue or curved dynamo marquee for RoboCop?
It's on the list of requests.
All right.
I've heard you. I've come through with other people. But yeah, so some of those things I got to back burner a little bit for some of these, because that was the problem I was running into with this. This has been a kind of a while in the works, but I had never. It only took me the weekend to design it up and get it made, and I started cutting the thing last night, this morning. So we have a full prototype here. So it's more of taking a step back from orders and the other little requests and stuff, focusing on this. So this is it. I didn't have an orange blanket to do a grand reveal, but this is let me jump over here.
Big moment, guys. Drum roll, please.
Here is the new Robotron.
No, no. No.
So this is what am I calling this? This is the
Joel something. I think we thought we called it. Was it the
Player's
Joel
Decision? I don't know. Player's Decision. The Joel Tendo.
Joel Tendo? I think we decided to go with that.
I don't know. So this is. Oh, we'll there. Get a side shot of it here.
Oh, yeah. So this is basically a deluxe size Nintendo cabinet. That's what you're showing us here today.
Yes, a deluxe size Nintendo cabinet. Inspired by Nintendo. So this is fully my design. The nice thing about deluxe sizes is that it's not a 1-to-1 shrunk down ratio. So I can take a little bit of liberties with it. And so this is all my design. And so this is my version of it so far. It's still being flushed out. But basically what I wanted is I wanted to have a player's choice. Yeah. I love the player's choice. I'm a huge NES fan. Love Nintendo, all the 8-bit stuff. And so what I wanted was and I had some ideas with it. As you can see, it's got, if anybody's familiar with the player's choice, they had the little aluminum toppers on the top of it that would show you which games were on it with a sticker. So I loved what a bunch of places have been doing with active digital marquees and stuff like that. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have like a digital topper? So if you see at the top there, I kind of have these 3 digital toppers for it. For me, that's not the finished deck. It's a Frankenstein down deck of I wanted to use the Intech deck for it so that I could play my NES cartridges and collection with it. So I can drop in my NES carts and play those. And so, yeah, this is kind of my NES player's choice cab that is going to be going in my game room. But the idea here is what you're looking at is a deluxe scale, flat packable, arrive to your door, and you put it together with cam dowel pin cam locks in 20 minutes. And you can build whatever you want. So it would be probably finished in white or maybe black edge banding and available in solid colors of black, white, light blue, and orange.
No red.
Maybe red. Yeah, we could have red.
Go red.
Yep, a red. So probably just all plain colors so that I can avoid the tricky part with the company that I'm basing this off of is I know that they tend to like to protect their IP as much as possible.
Yeah.
So this is my design. I'm going to probably try to avoid artwork if at all possible, allow people to build what they want. But the idea around it as well is that it's designed around Arcade1Up bezel screen monitors and control panels, so that you can kind of bring what you want. You can buy just a basic shell, and you can use parts and pieces you got lying around or that you pick up from Marketplace, or if you want to do a 19-inch buy stuff arcade monitor, you can drop one of those in it. I'll probably offer unique control panels that are similar to the player's selection decks or the Monkey Kong decks.
Monkey Kong. What is Monkey Kong? You don't
Yeah.
need to be so worried about this. I mean, it's not like anybody in the home arcade community has ever gone to a company to try to get anybody in trouble.
Right. Popeye. We can say Popeye. That one's a free
Yes,
entity,
it's a
right?
Popeye cab. There we go.
So,
Yeah.
maybe we just call it the Popeye cab. So yeah, so that's the other thing I've been working on for mine is I got a kind of a multi-cart with all the verses and player's choice, play choice ROMs and stuff, so that you can kind of have that experience on there. But
Now,
yeah,
I know you said you've done smart work yourself, but I think like you're a little bit worried that Nintendo will send like a SWAT team out in the woods and find you.
right.
So the probably the smart thing to do would be to share your design schematics in terms of the size and stuff with some people that offer artwork, because there is some lucrative partnerships you can have there. Apparently, Joe Zabos, he ain't afraid of no ghosts. He'll make anything.
No.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely opportunities there. I'm gonna be branching out for, like I said, I don't really want to be importing monitors and stuff like that and stocking up, with shipping containers. So that's one of the reasons why I also chose to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People are doing a lot of good stuff out there. You can get Arcade1Up products, but reaching out to the guys that buy stuff and seeing if they want to do some sort of collab with monitors and stuff. But Sabos or other people as well, for probably and the nice thing is the way that Nintendo did their artwork is I could send it fully skinned in a color vinyl, and people could just order
Decals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I really like about this, like you talked to me about a Play Choice 10, and now I've never been like a big guy on the Play Choice 10. Like my least favorite arcade of all time that I see people get is the Nintendo Red Tint, and I like absolutely hate that thing. But there is something exciting about having like a 3/4 scale Play Choice 10 that you can have in your home arcade, stick a pie in it, and basically play like every single Nintendo game ever on it. I think that's a fun idea. Now, you've mentioned the Intech deck. I think that's a cool option for some people to have. Me personally, I'm not the biggest Intech deck fan, and like look at the way that cartridge sticks up there in front of the screen. Kill me now.
Yeah. So one of the things I agree with you on that one. Surprisingly, it doesn't stick up with this Simpsons monitor that's in it right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't block anything. But if I were to do it, one of the things, like I said, this is just a Frankenstein dropped in there for today. I'm going to redo my own deck, and I'm going to relocate the cartridge slot for myself. One of the reasons is can you see? I do have, maybe you can't see, I have grooves cut in the sides already for plexi, so that you can have the plexi on the front. So you can put your Donkey Kong bezel plexi on there or whatever, and then also have the recessed monitor in there. But the way that it sits right now is it would cut right across here over the buttons on the Intech deck, and you couldn't get at your cartridge and things like that.
So Joel, Buy Stuff Arcades is actually here in the chat. It says just need side slots like the Arcade1Up has for monitors to slide in. And if you're not already in communication with them, I know either P-Dubs or I'll try myself to put you guys in talks, because I think there's an opportunity for a partnership. And the other reason I say there's an opportunity for a partnership is, Joel, I don't know where you fucking live, but I really don't want to pay shipping from the US for the stuff. So maybe there's an opportunity to work with Buy Stuff, so to get some here in Canada as well.
Does it really matter where I live in the US? Considering
No.
where we live?
No, we get absolutely ass raped no matter where.
Because I mean, you're not even really Canada.
No, not technically. We've only been part of Canada since 1942. So, like, I don't know where we are.
Yeah. So yeah, what I do, I have the monitor grooves cut in the sides for it.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the intent is, everybody loves those 19-inch monitors from those guys. So
Yeah.
I figure, I'm not in this to knock off anybody. I figure, if somebody's doing something right,
Yeah.
that's nowhere for me to play. I'm here to bring stuff to the table that people can't get or that I think I can do better. And so I really don't want to play around with things that other people have already figured out and are doing well. I think it's a small enough market and there's enough good guys in it that we all can kind of keep in our lanes and do what we're doing.
I agree with that. And there's an opportunity for people to work together and stuff like that. So I love that. I'm surprised no one's really thought about doing this before because everybody's come out with everything you can possibly mod an Arcade1Up with, except for changing the fucking shape. This is to me, this seems like such a easy concept where you can use the parts already existing with an Arcade1Up or, use new parts. Like, why hasn't someone done this before?
That was what was going through my head all day today. I've thought about it a bit in the past, but as I've been building this today, that's been repeatedly going through my head, just like, I don't know, am I crazy for doing this? Like, how come nobody's done this before? And this is kind of just the start. Like I said, I have 5 cabs that are kind of planned, Robotron being the next one, just because I owe it to Stokjock.
He does.
That one. And then the trilogy. I mean, the third one. That one's probably.
Well, you just gave it away. Man.
That one's gonna be a surprise, but and then there's 2 more that
let me ask this, Joel. Is Congo Bongo going to be one of them?
That one is not on the list for this year.
What about Wacko? Make a Wacko cab.
Wacko?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Wacko?
I have not. No.
Oh, hold on. I got to get it up. Do you know what I'm talking about, Stokjock?
No, I don't. And not maybe if I see it.
Oh, there's a reason why I mentioned Wacko Arcade. Okay. Hold on.
And while you're looking it up, can I read this question from Doug Wynn? Because I think it's a real good one.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 second, quick. $2 super chat for my buddy Stringer Films. Just wait to order after you're the 52nd state. Thank you for your support, Stringer Films. Okay, ask Doug's question.
Okay, he says, "Hey Joel, what would you say the target date would be for this? This would be released when all the schematics are all configured?" Because he's very interested.
So this is actually surprisingly, I was surprised at how quickly it came along. It's been about a year, of in the making. It culminated to this of figuring out tolerances, specs, with the risers and the countercades. But I was able to just kind of pull a lot of that, copy paste from a lot of the stuff that I had done, and drop it in here. And I was actually surprised at how quickly it pieced together. I was expecting a lot of stuff not to. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's Wacko.
Oh wow! Look at that thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, you don't want to do a Wacko. No one wants a Wacko.
A few of those on Marketplace, I think.
Yeah, I can
Arcade1Ups that look just like that.
Yeah, after time.
But so this has come together quicker than I thought. It's pretty. What you see is not too far off to be able to go.
Oh wow!
Really, what I need to do here now is kind of spec out costs to see what it's going to take. But as I've been playing around, I'm thinking maybe they might be available for orders July.
Wow, that's soon, man. Question here from Paul Mindeman. I already know the answer to this because you said you were like, "Oh yeah, then we could do it with the Intech deck," but that's more of an option. If people want to buy their own Intech deck, they can, but
Right.
It's not a requirement. Like the idea is you probably do this with a Raspberry Pi, right?
Right. So there's going to be at least the one original option is going to be a shell that anybody can buy. You drop in your own monitor and bezel.
Control panel. Yeah.
You drop in whatever controls you want. Maybe you choose what control panel you want cut from me. Maybe I offer that's where I got to get some of the details a little bit more figured out, is what people want to, as far as me to bring to the table. So do they want me to be providing GRS controls, or do they want to supply their own? I know, because I know people want to build and mod these, probably themselves and build their own whatever. But I would like to
don't discount the fact. Don't discount the fact there's people out there that are lazy like me, and maybe Stokjock that just want to get something already done.
Right. So there might be a few, kind of options that you can drop down tabs to select, if you want a pie, with something, without anything on it. If you just want a pie, wink, wink.
Yeah.
That's included with it. Maybe that's an option. And then, so it could be anywhere from, I don't think you'll get exactly what you're seeing here as far as a raw MDF cab. I don't think anybody has any interest in receiving that rough of a product. So I think at the very most, or the very least, you could get a box of woodcut panels and hardware to piece it all together. That would have a solid color vinyl on the side that you pre-selected, whether that be blue, red, white, black, orange, and edge banding. That would be probably the very least. And then all the way up to possibly a completely finished, G.I. Joe signature Player's Choice edition with an Intech deck, my own layout and everything, just kind of what I ultimately would love for a Player's Choice type cab. That might be like the Cadillac Lamborghini of, the what you get, but with a few options maybe in between.
Paul Miniman says, I think you should just ship people some 4x8 MDF sheets and a handful of buttons. Can you imagine? Fuck. They all make dress arcades out of it. $1.99 super chat from Vic Vicious. Joel, possibility of Qbert or Afterburner. I think Qbert is another one of those big ones that people would want. Yeah. That's a little bit complicated because it has that diagonal control panel. So there's a little bit more work that would go into that. And Afterburner obviously is Afterburner. Thank you very much for the super chat, Vic Vicious. We've also got a $5 super chat here from B Kirby. Very cool, Joel. I'll buy one for sure and I'll pick it up. You're not far from Chicago. I want a Popeye cab.
For sure. Now, we already have options. See, I'm already thinking through some of the options. So,
yep. Look at that. Yep. Smart man.
Yep.
Drop down menu of whether you want the dual speaker grill, single speaker grill, or no speaker grill. So it's going to be customizable and have options for people to make what they want.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about this. Like, that Nintendo cab has been long sought after in the home arcade community, and it's pretty realistic now. It's never coming out. And Arcade1Up's never coming out with any partnership with Nintendo. So if you want a companion piece in that, 3/4 deluxe size piece for a Nintendo cab, whether it be Donkey Kong, Popeye, whether it be something wacky like you want to do like a Super Punch Out, or if you want a Player's Choice, really it's something like this is going to be our only option to do it. So Joel, thank you. I think honestly this is something that the community could definitely use. It's an option for us to get some of the products we wanted to add to our arcade, and it's cool to see your business keep changing and coming up with new stuff, mainly to appease Stokjock, who keeps harassing you to make stuff for him.
I mean, it's the least I can do, I guess. Like I said, I was planning on napping today, but he told me to get out of bed, put some pants on, and go make something. So
I told him I was a little disappointed that the marquee wasn't done. I said, we need a marquee by 9 o'clock, Joel. Come on, let's get going.
Yeah,
So-
I had no expectation for you to do this. Like the whole idea when we were going to originally do this a couple weeks back was Stokjock was harassing you about coming up with a Robotron cab and getting 70 signatures. So I was going to get you on here and shame you into building a Robotron cab for Stokjock. But this is much better, man. Like I can't
Yes.
thank you enough for putting this together and showing it off here tonight. This is pretty freaking
Now
awesome,
that
man.
I got a lot of the stuff, tweaked and figured out, a lot of the base stuff, that probably translate over to a Robotron cab.
Yeah.
Not too difficultly. So, sometime later this year, we could probably see a Robotron. And got a few other projects that we're working on over the summer too that are kind of exciting, that I think people will be maybe excited about.
That's awesome. So how do people get in touch with you now? Because I know people are probably going to watch this video. I'm going to leave a link to your...
They don't get in touch with me. I get in touch with them.
You get in touch with them. That's crazy. No, but like,
so that was one of the reasons I kind of kept this quiet for so long, trying to get all my ducks in a row with stuff. So people that are watching this right now, please don't reach out asking when it's going to be made available or anything. I try to reply back to everybody that I can, and as quickly as I can. But if I'm getting flooded with messages on stuff, it's going to be on the website when I have it ready to go. Mike B is definitely not going to let you guys miss this, I'm sure.
No, I'll keep you updated.
I will keep him updated. I have my website is G.I. Joel Gaming, G.I. Joel, gaming.com.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat there for anybody to see, and I'll add it to the description.
People that want to follow along, I got a Facebook page, G.I. Joel Gaming. I try to post pictures, behind the scenes type stuff and updates on the Facebook page, and G.I. Joel X84 on YouTube. I have just rigged the shop in here, these cameras and things like that. I got a bunch of them around. And start to try to live stream a little bit of some of the shop work and things, so you guys can follow along and check progress that way as well. And I do a weekly show on Arcades Anonymous.
Yeah, but like if they don't want to watch Arcades Anonymous, where do they go?
Oh, no. They all want to watch Arcades Anonymous. By the way, you can also follow Joel on Arcades Anonymous Discord. He does have his own area in the Discord channel as well. So if that's where you really want to hassle him, go there.
Yeah. But forward all your messages to Stokjock.
There you go. Yep. Message me. I get things done eventually. I get them done eventually.
So I'll post Stokjock's cell phone number, his home address, the business he runs. I'll send all that to you guys so you can get. No, but so you're looking at a July timeline. There's lots of things that I'm guessing you're going to want people to give you some feedback on, like how many people are interested. You're going to have to come up with a pricing model before you can do that, because a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I'll definitely buy one. And then you're like, well, it's X amount of money. And then they're like, well, nope, not buying anything. So probably keep an eye out. June, July, that's when you should have more of this information, and you could start getting some ideas on, like, how many people might want them and different things like that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Probably, and when I say July, I don't know if it's going to be a full-blown like launch in July, or if I limit it to maybe 10 or something like that, kind of do like Buy Stuff did with their super sprints, kind of have a limited run, and batch them out. So I guess it just kind of depends on interest and things like that. So I guess maybe you might want to email me and just let me know you're interested and you want one. I don't know. I hate people. I hate.
What is going on?
I live out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. Like I don't like talking to people.
Joel, you said the quiet part loud.
Yes, I know.
No, I get it. I get it. You don't want to be overloaded.
Right.
you ever hear of something? I use it all the time to try to set up meetings. It doesn't help, but like you can do a bunch of polls and stuff like that and get some customer feedback that way. So it's not like constantly like emails, like with people asking detailed questions. Like 100%, I think do some research on this, because I think you're going to be surprised how many people are going to want this shit, right?
I totally agree with you, Michael B. And that's what I've been trying to tell him over and over and over again. I just don't think he really realizes how many people would really step up and want these type of cabs that just weren't available to us. And it's just great that he's got this ability to do this. I mean, his craftsmanship is just amazing.
Yeah, 100%. So now we go from turning our cabs from, standard to deluxe. Now we're going into making new ones, new horizons, new opportunities. That's exciting. At least there's something to be excited about with all this goddamn negativity in this home arcade space for the last little while.
So I guess what I'm to put expectations out there as well, so that people aren't wondering and guessing and emailing. I've been a part of this community, so I get it. I know what we're at and what we like, and where we like our prices. We like our deals, and I think we really like those prices of when the company is dead and going out of business, where they're just liquidating all their stuff at like under the cost of what it costs. So I don't really want to sell them for that just yet.
No.
So unfortunately, the pricing, I'm not going to be able to compete with like $100 cab type stuff.
No, obviously not.
Well, these are also build to order. You're going to basically build to order, right?
Right.
I mean, you're not going to be stocking up on 40
but I think,
cabs.
We were talking on Arcades Anonymous the other night, and kind of we were hearing from the chat, the expectation is maybe around $500, for a shell with, and that it depends on what's in it, right? Not $500 for just a pure wooden shell, but I think we're ranging anywhere from $300 to $600 is probably what the price is going to be, depending on what's included and what people want, and the extent. So I know people don't want to be paying $1,200 for a deluxe cabinet, but I also know I can't sell them for less than probably $300. So
yeah,
that's probably the area of expectation, is probably maybe expect somewhere around that $500 mark, plus or minus a few $100.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is, again, do what I think Arcade1Up doesn't do, called market research, and just ask some questions and find out what people are willing to pay, what their expectations are, and do your best, man. Just put out what you can. And I think that even the idea of a shell, like new side panels and like new stuff to go around, like an existing Arcade1Up that people can then turn and mod, will be something people will be really freaking excited about.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly some of this stuff starts to add up. As I was putting it together, I was surprised. I went through a whole bag of hardware of cam locks and different things. I wasn't expecting that.
Now, Paul is also going to bring up, I know where Paul's coming from. We like big cabs too. So don't rule it out in the future of maybe there's an opportunity for Excel. See where the deluxe go, and keep Paul happy. Just say there's hope for Excel eventually.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever be able to keep Paul happy, because
I
don't want to do multicades, and I know he's a huge multicade.
Huge multicade.
Oh, the biggest multicade fan.
Stringer Film says, just create a Kickstarter and pre-fund it. You don't want to do that. Thank you for the super chat, though, Stringer Films. All right, so we're going to keep tuned. Joel, this is friggin' awesome, man. And I did not expect you to actually have a cab built and ready for this. So that's above and beyond, man. You're good people.
Try sometimes. Good people makes good That's
product.
my theory in life. Try sometimes.
Yeah. Hates people lives in the woods, but good people makes good products.
He's definitely
Get off
good
my
people.
lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Oh, that's something you and Stokjock share every time he talks about the AI rap music. He's like, get off my lawn. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to follow this and find out more. And it's nice to see something positive in this space and some hope for people to add something that maybe we thought we never were going to see. And that is a Nintendo cab. And that's something I've always wanted. I'm not going to lie to you. One of my biggest things I remember is watching King of Kong. You guys obviously saw that movie, right? With Weeby. And Weeby had the Donkey Kong Jr. machine with the Donkey Kong board in it in his garage. And I was like, man, how freaking cool would it be to have that? And I never ever did get my Nintendo cab, but now's an opportunity. Maybe it can happen.
Yep.
The tricky part is going to be shipping. Finding boxes that this will fit in, that size. That's the thing I've been finding is a little tricky. Is
you're gonna have to split it, man. There's no other way.
I might have to.
I got an idea for you.
Understand why they put that seam in there. I might have to. Yeah.
Just put up a Facebook post. You're willing to buy people's old Arcade1Up boxes.
There you go.
Anyways, guys, we'll keep you tuned on this. Everybody say thank you to Stokjock and G.I. Joel. This is G.I. Joel's baby, but Stokjock had a huge part in it. It's thanks to these two, their passion for the home arcade business, and Joel's actual capabilities of making this happen, that we do have this to look forward to. So thank you very much for being here, guys, and sharing this with us.
Oh, our pleasure. I mean,
thank you.
Joel and I become great friends. And my pestering him is more in love than it is. So I really want this thing. But he's become such a great friend of mine, and it's well the other AA guys, and he's just such a credit to this community because of what he can do. And I'm so excited for everybody out there, but also more for him, because I really think that this can be a really very, very good business for him.
I mean, if I can make this work, I mean, I definitely have been. My family has all said that I've been a lot happier lately, and I know this is just fun.
Yeah,
the community's great people. Like I said, I hate people, but these people, the majority of them are fun people to be around, and I've made a lot of great friends, and I just enjoy making stuff. So it's cool to be able to be making this stuff and doing it as a living so far.
Yeah. That's a wild offset that a lot of people don't realize about this. Like, you look at this home arcade community and how many offshoot businesses have come from it. Some were already in existence before, but guys like Angelo Terra making like marquees, like the marquee business blew up. And then you've got Zabo was already there, but different people making like arcade art, like Misselbrook over in the UK, like ended up doing the official arcade art for the iconic arcade. Like, that's a community member. People like Bobby Vu getting involved. There's cool opportunities out there, and it's good to see somebody like you, Joel, jumping on this and taking it a step further and doing something that honestly should be the most common sense thing in the world, building new shells for like Arcade1Up cabs, but it was just never done. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Happy to be doing it. Hopefully I can keep doing it. So,
well, I think
having me, Mike.
I think you're going to be busy. I think you're going to be busy.
I think you'll be very busy.
Yeah. And for someone who probably hates people, get prepared, man. They're going to be all over your ass.
That's what I got Stokjock for. Gonna be setting him up a company email tonight.
I'm gonna be selling my business and be joining Joel full time. How's that?
Sounds good. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight, watching. Stay tuned for more information on G.I. Joel, what he's got going, and don't forget, I think I still got his page up here. 1 second. In the meantime, it's got a lot of other cool products out there. Seamless risers for your Arcade1Up cabinets. Take a look at the whole product lineup again before we go. So you got deluxe boosters, countercade stands, modding parts, control deck, artwork, add-ons, all that shit. Go to GIJoelGaming.com. Take a look at his current products, because there might be opportunities for you to do something cool with your current cabs while you're waiting for him to get this shit out there. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. This has been Chill and Chat with Michael B. We'll see you next week, if not before. See you guys, and thanks everybody.